Hornsworm Hat, please stop using emoji. So emojis, everybody knows what emojis are. And so in this video, I'm just going to go through some slides that I picked mostly from just Wikipedia, things that I found interesting, and just say what I have to say about emojis. I really don't like emojis. I think they're silly. When I look at them, I just think they're ugly, and I don't think that they serve a purpose. And you should just use words instead. Why are you going and clicking a little image instead of just using your words? So they are now considered to be a large part of popular culture in the West. In 2015, Oxford Dictionaries named the face with tears of joy emoji the word of the year. So they're saying that emojis are words, and I don't know what to say other than it's like a big de-evolution in speech, in just the way people communicate. I mean, not even speech, but text. Obviously, this is big over text, but it's going to transcend everything. I mean, sometimes you hear people say the word winky face and stuff like that. So to me, it's just a known thing that language is a really powerful weapon. And this emoji thing is a strange dumbing down of society. They don't teach people cursive anymore, but they will literally talk about texting lingo and emojis in school. Like, does somebody really need to be taught about a smiley face? But that's the kind of stuff that they teach in school these days instead of learning cursive. So emojis to me, it's just like the pinnacle of the degradation of society and the way people communicate. And emojis are just a glaringly obvious. Anytime I see somebody slapping a million emojis all over the place, I just think it's so silly. Why are you doing that? What are you trying to say? What message are you trying to communicate with your different pictographs? I don't understand. Use your words, people. So, really quickly, the font Wingdings. Do you guys know about this thing? If you type in Q33 New York, or NY, Q33NY, and now we know about the importance of 33. If you type in Q33NY into Wingdings font, you get this airplane, two building looking things, skull and bones, Jew star. Numerous claims have been made to who invented the first emoji. I mean, it's nothing new. Using pictograms, to me, I just always make a connection between emojis and hieroglyphics, which hieroglyphics are probably a hoax. I don't think the Egyptians were communicating with those things. I think it's just a hoax, ancient BS. I'll talk about hieroglyphs in more detail when I get to pictures that I have. Thought this was interesting. According to interviews, he took inspiration from weather pictograms. Yeah, weather pictograms are a big thing. You know, the picture of the sunny sky, the picture of the sun with the clouds in front of it. It's just kind of an interesting concept that we've always used pictograms for weather. And anyways, Chinese characters, street sign pictograms. Their work is now displayed in the Museum of Modern Art. There's this idea of a dingbat, which is kind of interesting and probably not used anymore, but in the days of printing, like using a big printing press, they would have, because if you've ever looked into printing press, a lot of times it's like letter by letter, they set these letters into these sheets and then ink it and then stamp it. So they would have decorative stamps to be used. And that's kind of like a precursor to the emoji, kind of. Poem typeset with generous use of decorative dingbats. Way classier than an emoji, though. Stamps. Just an interesting topic. I remember one of my strat aunts was really into rubber stamping, stamp collections. Not really what this video is about, but clearly connected in some way. Now, one thing that I want to talk about here is the ancient Egyptian BS Look, it's just a slab of concrete that people stuck stamps into. That's all it is. It's stamps. And yeah, I don't think it's a language. I think that it's just hoax, ancient. They want to sell you a fantasy, a Disneyland version of ancient Egypt, because real ancient Egypt is biblical, and what they want to do is they want to take anything biblical and sell you a plastic corrupted version of it. They want you to think that ancient Egypt was all about the I mean, people's first mind goes to the pyramids. Where does the Bible ever talk about Egyptian pyramids, slaves chiseling away at stone and building pyramids? And then if you go use your eyes and you look at the pyramids, you see it's just concrete. Pyramids are literally just big blocks of concrete, some sort of casted stone. It's not chiseled stone from a quarry. It's casted. That's what these things are too. It's I mean, have you guys seen when they'll lay concrete and then they run over it with a stamp and it imprints a pattern into it? They can make it look really good like rocks. And no, it's just concrete and they've rolled a pattern over the top of it, a rock looking pattern. And to me, this has never looked chiseled. That's one thing that I never understood. It doesn't look chiseled because it's not chiseled, it's stamped. It's not a piece of stone that somebody has sat here and painstakingly chiseled away. These are stamps. It's not chiseled, it's a stamp. And yeah, it just kind of reminds me of emoji. They're stamps. Wow, that paint sure does last a long time. A lot of times there's no paint whatsoever. Sometimes it's painted up. Sometimes it looks wet, dripping with paint. And all this stuff is just hoaxery. This is not ancient Egypt stuff. The ancient Egypt probably was not in Africa. Not at all. Probably was America. And I mean, just think of Philadelphia. It's a big city in America, and Philadelphia is an Egyptian place. That was kind of one of the video games I used to play was Civilization, and it was always weird when you would pick Egypt and you'd get, yeah, the city of Philadelphia. It would just seem weird. Wait, why is Philadelphia an Egyptian city? So yeah, stamps. Hiero means sacred or holy. Hieroglyph. Glyph, a symbol, a pictograph. And yeah, I think of emojis as being similar to hieroglyphics, pictographs, runes. And you could say the same thing about English. You know, where do you draw the line? Is the English language evil? Like the letter A is a pyramid with a capstone. Is that evil? I don't know, maybe. I don't know how language is going to work in heaven. I don't know. Think of some of the most. Why is the poop emoji just one of the biggest emojis? You can be in the grocery store and you'll see poop emoji stuff. We're supposed to be in a grocery store, food, and they're going to have cute looking poop stuff. Yeah, you live in Sodom and Gomorrah. This is modern day Babylon. They try to make poop cute. I mean, just at the store, at my store, there's like unicorn poop themed stuff. It's so disgusting and degenerate. Emojis just show you how degenerate everything has become. And this place is a freak show. Imagine talking to people in the Victorian era about how, oh, at the grocery store they have poop emoji stuffed animals you can buy and you can eat unicorn poop. One of the most common emojis I see these days is the orange heart. Look out for people using the orange heart. They go out of their way to select an orange heart. What do you know? Famously, both the peach and the eggplant were used for other meanings. I thought this was just weird. Dancer is female on Apple and SoftBank standards, but male or gender neutral on others. So, just one thing about emojis is, yeah, when I see somebody giving me a bunch of emojis, I don't know what that means. I don't know how to interpret it. It's very ambiguous. And that's not how we should be speaking. Mean what you say. And just think of the way that this place operates. They love statements that have double meanings. They love puns. They love saying little tricky things where they're sneaking loopholes in there. And that's the type of language that they like. They like ambiguous language. And that's not how we're supposed to speak. We're supposed to say what we mean and try to speak in a way where people can't misinterpret what we're saying. And, anyways, talking about the nail polish. And yeah, how in America, this nail polish thing, it has kind of a snooty like attitude to it. Non-caring, fatuitousness, anything from shutting haters down to a sense of accomplishment, painting your nails. I just thought that was kind of interesting. Aubergine is the most notable emoji of 2015. Somebody compared the use of emoji to a developing language, particularly mentioning the American use of eggplant to represent phallus. Some linguists have classified emoji and emoticons as discourse markers. I don't know what that means. So I tried to find a picture of this, but I couldn't. I just put this slide in here so I would remember. I remember growing up, there were some books. It would be like a regular story. It would be like, Susie had a pet, and then instead of saying the word cat, it would just be a picture of a cat. And you would read the story, and it would just say, Susie and her cat went back to there, and it would show a little pictograph of house. I don't know why, but this just reminded me of that. I tried to find a picture of it to explain what I mean, but I couldn't find it. Do you guys remember that? There were stories with little emojis instead of words. It's infantile. It's just very infantile. To me, it's really weird seeing how many adults and old people, they just go over the top with emojis, and it just feels very infantile to me. They're data mining on emojis. They analyzed 1.2 billion messages and announced that the face with tears of joy was the most popular emoji. The heart and the heart eyes emoji stood second and third, respectively. I do see the heart eyes one all the time. I thought this was just kind of interesting. People in countries like Australia, France, and the Czech Republic used more happy emoji, while this was not so for people in Mexico, Colombia, Chile, and Argentina, where they used negative emoji. There's been discussion among legal experts on whether or not emoji could be admissible as evidence in court trials. Okay, this is just shows you where we are. Imagine trying to explain this to somebody 100 years ago. In the second part of 2019, a period emoji will be released that is intended to help break the stigma of menstruation. In addition to normalizing periods, it will also be relevant to describe medical topics such as donating blood and other blood-related activities. Research has shown that emoji are often misunderstood. In some cases, this misunderstanding is related to how the actual emoji design is interpreted by the viewer. Or they can just look differently. I mean, you've probably gotten texts from people and you just see a bunch of black boxes with X's out. And you can't even see what they were saying. I thought this was just strange. For example, people in China have developed a system for using emoji subversively so that a smiley face could be sent to convey a despising, mocking, and even obnoxious attitude. And then they got really into some specifics. You can pause and read it if you want to. This was just more emojis being interpreted. How do you interpret it? On one iOS, the emoji looked neutral, but on another platform, it looked like they were making fun of people. Yikes. Microsoft stated that the change, so this is talking about how they got rid of a pistol emoji and they turned it into an outer space thing, a ray gun. Microsoft stated that the change was made to bring the glyph more in line with industry standard designs. I just thought the use of the word glyph. There is something strange and runic and magic about this stuff. Going back to the hieroglyphic stuff and how what they tell us about ancient Mayans is that they wrote with these glyphs. So there is just a pagan connection. So much talking about the eggplant. So much talking about the eggplant. I thought this was hilarious. Only 7%, so it might just be a BS figure, but I mean, how often do people talk about peaches? 7% of the English language tweets with the peach emoji referred to the actual fruit. In 2016, Apple attempted to redesign the emoji to less resemble buttocks. This was met with fierce backlash in beta testing. Okay, this is what I have to say to people who use emojis all the time. Use your words. It's the same thing that you have to constantly tell 2-year-olds. Use your words. We have this language, and I'm not going to sit here and listen to, it's like babbling. And I hate emojis. I really don't like emojis. And yeah, I'll just block people if they use emojis too much. Matthew chapter 5, verse 37. But let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay, for whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. And yes, here Jesus is talking about how you're not supposed to, the context behind this. You can go read the whole chapter. The context behind this, Jesus is talking about you're not supposed to swear upon stuff. Because, I mean, that's a big thing that people still do today. Oh, I swear on my mother's grave this. I swear to God this. You're not supposed to do that. And that's the context that Jesus is talking about here. But I think that more of what you can be interpreting from this statement is you shouldn't be speaking ambiguously. I mean, and think of the way that these evil people operate and don't act like that. One of the things that evil people love to do is they love to make these ambiguous statements where you can take it both ways, or they're technically telling the truth, but they know that people are going to interpret it incorrectly. Yeah, you're not supposed to act like that. And so one way that I interpret this statement, let your yeas be yea and your nay be nay, is be a clear communicator, and emojis are not clear communication. How are you supposed to interpret when somebody just sends you 7 clappy hand emojis? How am I supposed to interpret that? What does that mean? And if you want to say, oh, I liked this video, go ahead and say that. I don't support using emojis. Use your words. Exodus chapter 20. This is the 10 Commandments. I don't know the extent of this. So I'll just read. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath. And I think a big unanswered question is, how far does this go? And the next verse talks about, thou shalt not bow down thyself to them. But, like, I think a lot of people have the same question. Does that mean that we shouldn't be doing any art? Is it evil of me to paint a portrait of somebody or to paint a picture of a tree? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. It might be. And should we be speaking with pictures of objects? I don't think so. But, to come down here, you shouldn't bow down to it. Yeah, you shouldn't be bowing down to these things. And I think that's more obvious in things like you shouldn't be praying to somebody's painting of Jesus or somebody's painting of Mary, which is something that people do. I don't think you should be praying to a cross, praying to some sort of symbol. And I think that's really, really clear. And it's kind of less clear where the line gets drawn. Are we even supposed to be drawing a picture of anything? Anyways, that's not really what this video is about. It's more just about, I think that emojis are just a very unevolved form of speech. People used to speak so much better. And it's idiocracy. We live in idiocracy. Look at how people used to communicate and spend time, write letters, they'd care about what they're going to say. And now people don't even mean what they say, and they just speak with pictures, like somebody who doesn't even know how to use words. God bless everyone.